Please subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss an update from So Simple Tutorial.
Good morning students, welcome to SST So Simple Tutorial. Today I am going to start revision of lesson 2 Federalism of your Democratic Politics textbook. Basically, I will discuss those questions which have either been asked before or carry a probability of being asked as 3 or 5 marks questions. This session will be useful to those who have read the book and understood the lesson properly. If you have not read the book or watched my lessons, I would suggest you watch those videos first. The links of those videos are given in the description. Remember, this video is not the explanation of the chapter, but revision of lesson through important questions. So let us begin now. Question number 1. Differentiate between federal system and unitary system. To answer this question, as I always say, make a table. Federal system on one side and unitary system on the other side. Under federal system, there are two levels of government, one at the central level and other at the state level. Both levels have their own areas of jurisdiction. Under unitary system, either there is only one level of government or the subunits are subordinate to the central government. In federal system, the state government has the power of its own and is not answerable to the central government. In unitary system, the state government has no power of its own. The central government cannot give orders to the state government in federal system, whereas the central government can give orders to the state government in unitary system. Then give one example or two examples each of both the system. For example, USA, Belgium, Australia are the examples of federal system. Sri Lanka and China are the examples of unitary system. Next question. Explain briefly the main features of federalism. In your textbook, there are 7 features given. You choose important ones. Point number 1. There are 2 or more tiers of government. Each tier of government has its own jurisdiction in specific matters of legislation, taxation, and administration. The existence and authority of each tier of government is constitutionally guaranteed. No government is authorized to change the fundamental provisions of the Constitution. Any change in the Constitution requires the consent of both the levels of government. Judiciary has the right to interpret the Constitution and the powers of different levels of government. Now you know the features of federalism. You may be asked, India is a federal country, discuss. The Constitution of India has declared India into a union of states. Although it did not use the term federation, the Indian Union is based upon the principles of federation. India has 3 levels of government: union government, state government, and local government. Point number 2. Each of the tiers has its own jurisdiction in specific matters. They have their own well-defined functions and responsibilities. Third, there is an independent judiciary to oversee the implementation of constitutional provisions and the procedures. In case of dispute of powers, the High Court and the Supreme Court will make a decision. 4. Each tier has its own independent source of revenue. And finally, the Parliament on its own cannot make changes in the power sharing arrangements. Any change has to be first passed by both the houses of Parliament with at least 2/3 majority. Then it has to be ratified by the legislatures of at least half of total states. Thus we see that India possesses all the features of federalism. Next question. How are the duties and functions divided between the different tiers of government in India? The government has provided three comprehensive lists of subjects demarcating the powers of central and state governments. First, Union List. It includes subjects of national importance such as defense of the country, foreign affairs, banking, communications and currency. They are included in this list because we need a uniform policy on these matters throughout the country. The union government alone can make laws relating to the subjects mentioned in this list. The second is the state list. State list contains subjects of state and local importance such as police, agriculture and irrigation. The state governments alone can make laws on the subjects mentioned in this list. Third one is concurrent list. This list includes subjects which are of common interest to both union as well as state governments. Both the union governments as well as the state governments can make laws on these subjects. However, in case of conflict between the two, the law made by the union government shall prevail. Some of the important subjects in this list are education, trade unions, marriages, divorce, succession, etc. You can add residuary powers also. What are these? On all those subjects that do not fall in any of the above three lists, the union government has the power to legislate. For example, computer software. Explain the language policy of India. The main features of language policy adopted in India are as follows. Our constitution does not give the status of national language to any of the languages. Hindi was identified as official language. There are safeguards to protect other languages. Besides Hindi, there are 21 other languages recognized as scheduled languages by the Constitution. States can have their own official language in which much of the government work takes place. English along with Hindi continues to be used for official purpose in the central government. Promotion of Hindi continues to be the official policy of the government of India. Next question. Explain the new culture of power sharing developed after 1990. This question is in center-state relations. The period after 1990 saw the rise of regional parties in many states of the country. Since no single party got a clear majority in the Lok Sabha, the major political parties had to enter into an alliance with many parties including several regional parties to form a government at the center. This led to the beginning of coalition governments at the center as a new culture of power sharing. Let us now see the subtopic decentralization. What are the major steps taken by the government towards decentralization in 1992? The Constitution was amended in 1992 to make the third tier of democracy more powerful and effective. The major steps taken were as follows. 1. It was now constitutionally mandatory to hold regular elections to the local government bodies. The term of the government is 5 years. However, if it is dissolved before 5 years, fresh elections must be held within 6 months. Seats are reserved for STs, SCs and OBCs in the elected bodies and the executive heads of these institutions. At least 1/3 of all positions are reserved for women. An independent state election commission has been set up to conduct panchayat and municipal elections. The state governments are required to share some powers and revenue with local government bodies. Next question. State some differences between the local government before and after the constitutional amendment in 1992. So again make a table pre-1992 and post-1992. First point, the local governments were directly under the controls of state government in pre-1992. In post-1992 period, local governments were set up independent of the state governments. Pre-1992, elections to the local government was not held regularly. Post-1992, it is constitutionally mandatory to hold regular elections to local government bodies. Third point, pre-1992, election was controlled by state governments. Post-1992, an independent state election commission is responsible to conduct elections. Pre-1992, the local governments were dependent on the state government for revenue. Post-1992, the Constitution has laid down independent sources of revenue. Lastly, you may be asked the achievements or difficulties of local self-government. For example, mention the achievements of local self-government. Constitutional status for local government has helped to deepen democracy in our country. 2. It has increased women's representation and voice in our country. 3. It has allowed people to directly participate in decision making. Mention some difficulties of the local government in India. 1. Most states have not transferred significant powers to the local governments. Most states have also not given adequate resources to them. Third, while elections are held regularly, Gram Sabhas are not held regularly. Now, having read all these questions, you must also read these questions. 1. What is federalism? 2. Name any two countries that have unitary form of government. 3. Name two countries that have federal form of government. Define the term jurisdiction. Give two examples of coming together federation. Give two examples of holding together federation. Name two subjects that fall in the union list. Name two subjects that fall in state list. Name two subjects that fall in concurrent list. What are union territories? What is decentralization? How many languages are included in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution? In local self-government institutions, at least 1/3 of seats are reserved for whom? Who is responsible for conducting panchayat and municipal elections? Who is the political head of the municipal corporation? These are important 1-mark questions. So prepare these answers. With these questions now, let me stop here. Read these questions and prepare the answers. We will meet now in the next class with revision of another lesson. Till then, keep reading and have a nice time. Thank you.
For more such videos, please don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon. Thank you.